Friends Have Benefits, Chapter 5, A Mission and a Menace. So what now? Soarin asked, lazily flopping back on the cloud. He and Thunderlane had spent the best part of the day bringing an unscheduled bank of cirrus clouds under control. While the thin wispy clouds had proved little challenge for the experienced weather operator and the rookie, the sheer amount of cloud that had unexpectedly shown up had exhausted the both of them. Nap sounds good, right about now, Thunderlane muttered, flopping down, a cloud a few metres away. Lazy ass, Soarin admonished. Oh, come on, give me a break. I've been clearing those clouds for the past 5 hours while you've been doing is playing around with your dick or something, Thunderlane retorted, yawning loudly. Soarin rolled his eyes. Thunderlane had turned out to be an endless source of dick jokes. Thanks. Nice to know my help is appreciated. Whatever, Soarin. Thunderlane mumbled before closing his eyes. A few minutes later, the quiet sound of snoring emerged from his makeshift cloud bed. Soarin sighed and flopped his head back onto the cloud. I guess a nap couldn't hurt. His eyes drooped shut, fatigue overcoming his will to stay awake. As he snoozed, he was oblivious to the whirring of a gyrocopter drawing closer, nor did he see the demented grin of its pilot. Soarin could feel something was wrong. The cloud under him wasn't soft and fluffy. It was hard and unyielding. Celestia's bright sun no longer shone down on him, and the air felt too cold. His eyes snapped open in panic. Much to his surprise, he was inside what appeared to be a bakery. The room was pitch black, and the only source of illumination was from a solitary candle on top of a delicious-looking, expertly crafted cake. The small pool of light provided no sense of comfort, as it cast menacing shadows around the bakery. Small flutters of movement came from around the edge of the room, further increasing the growing sense of unease in Soarin's mind. "Hey, sleepyhead!" A bubbly yet dangerous voice came from the shadows. The owner materialised out of the darkness next to the cake. Her normally pink coat was a sickly shade of red that reminded Soarin awfully of blood. She appeared to be hiding something sinister, and Soarin couldn't see in her forehoofs. "Pinkie?" Soarin said uneasily. His legs were shaking slightly. Whether that was from the cool draft or the off-putting scene, he wasn't sure. Picking himself off the cold floor where he had been lying. "What's going on?" he asked with uncertainty. "Well, when I said I was planning you a welcome to Ponyville party for you, I was being super serious. I mean, really super duper serious. I mean, who would joke about parties like that anyway?" She shook her head seriously. "Really serious business. So when you ran away and didn't want to be friends and have lots of fun at your super awesome patented Pinkie party, I got sad. Really sad. And that got me thinking, who wouldn't want an awesome party? Big meanies like you, who don't like having fun and don't deserve parties." She moved the hoof in front of her, revealing a wickedly sharp knife. Soarin gulped and backed away. I like fun. I love parties." "You're just saying that." Pinkie shot back, her wide smile still in place. She advanced towards Soarin, knife clenched between her teeth. Her mane was rapidly losing its puffiness in a way that Soarin would have found comical, if the situation had been less horrifying. "Pinkie, what are you doing?" Soarin asked nervously as she advanced on him. "Something I should have done when I met you," she growled, transferring the knife to her hoof. "Oh shit, this can't be happening. No. I'm too young to die. I have too much to do. Achieve my dream. Oh wait, I did that. Fall helplessly in love. Oh wait, I did that too. Drink a town dry? Oh, well, there was that one time in Dodge Junction. Oh shit. Well, getting stabbed to death by an insane pink mare was on the list." He thought desperately as Pinkie advanced upon him. Panic overcoming him, Soarin's knees buckled and he was reduced to a cowering, quivering wreck. He shut his eyes and waited for the end. Waited for the pain of the cold steel slipping between his ribs. It never came. Instead, a blinding flash of light, even visible through his shut eyelids, and a deafening yell of "Surprise!" enveloped him. Oh, now she's going to... Wait, what? Soarin cracked open an eye, cautiously. The previously dark room was now awash with light. The curtains had been pulled back, inviting in the sun's warm glow. Dozens of ponies stood around the edge of the room. looking at the cowering Soarin cautiously. "Surprise!" Pinkie yelled belatedly, deftly spinning the knife around and offering it to Soarin, hilt first. A party?" Soarin asked, dumbfounded. "Uh-huh," Pinkie said, nodding so fast Soarin was sure her head would fly off and buzz about the room. "But the creepy room, the knife, your insane look," Soarin said, lifting his head up. "Well, the room was creepy because all the lights were off. The knife is to cut the cake, and I couldn't help having a bit of fun while I was at it," Pinkie buzzed happily. Soarin swore quietly. It all made sense now. "You call that a joke?" he yelled. "I almost needed a new pair of pants." You're not wearing pants," Pinkie pointed out. "That's not the point. Don't do it again," Soarin yelled. He hadn't realised that all the other ponies in the room were staring as he gave Pinkie a piece of his mind. "Of course I'd never do it again. I mean, why would I throw a second welcome to Ponyville party? I can't welcome you twice. That would be like a re-welcome party, or a second coming party even." Soarin's eye twitched as once again Pinkie completely missed the point. Stay calm, he thought as the pink pony bounced up and down in front of him, the knife jiggling around dangerously in her mouth. "So, do you like it?" Pinkie asked, oblivious to Soarin's displeasure. "It's," Soarin said, his eye twitching madly. He was aware of the anticipation building in the room. "Your eye is all funny," Pinkie said, flicking her head back, and the knife flew out of her mouth and embedded itself perfectly in the cake. A few quiet murmurs broke from the crowd. "But you like it, right?" she asked, her eyes tearing up. "It's great," Soarin said, grunted through his teeth, finally bringing his eyes twitching under control. "Let's get this shit over with," he thought, putting a fake smile one would have if their tea had salt instead of sugar, but were too polite to point it out. "Whoa, let's get this party started!" Pinkie yelled out enthusiastically, buying Soarin's blatantly fake reaction. She then proceeded to complete a backwards cartwheel whilst putting a needle down on a record player, blasting loud music across the bakery. Soarin cringed slightly as the loud, obnoxious music assailed his ears. "This would be fun if I was deaf," he thought sourly. Within the hour, the party was in full swing. Several more ponies, including the rest of the weather team, had arrived. Dozens of ponies, mostly ones Soarin didn't know or didn't want to know, chatted, danced, or stuffed themselves with the seemingly endless supply of goodies that Pinkie was churning out. Soarin had forced himself into a corner, both to avoid being snuck up on and to avoid the pink menace as much as he could. He watched with muted interest as a pair of stallions, a snow-white Pegasus and a deep red earth pony, hoof-wrestled a few tables away. A small crowd had gathered to watch and placed bets on the competing heavyweights. Soarin was glad he wasn't fighting. He was sure that despite his athletic background, he was sure either one of the hulking brutes would have literally turned him into paste. For the most part, though, the majority of the partygoers ignored Soarin, or at least decided to ignore Soarin after any attempts of conversation resulted in virtually being stonewalled. For the 17th time, Soarin wondered if he could make a break for it, and hoped no pony would see him escape, but immediately dismissed it as foolish. Any time he left his sheltered alcove, he was instantly accosted by Pinkie Pie. Even after he had just seen her walk into the kitchen, she would appear in front of him with a platter of cupcakes or drinks. Just the thought of that mare made his head hurt. Soarin spotted Flitter and Cloudchaser sitting at a table, talking with Thunderlane, hastily averting his gaze when Cloudchaser gave him a wink from across the room. "Here's trouble," he thought when he spotted a rainbow mane belonging to his friend that really wasn't really his friend, bobbing through the crowd towards him. He shrunk back a little, hoping she wouldn't see him. No luck. "Hey, Soarin, nice party Pinkie's thrown for you, right?" she asked, spotting the stallion. Soarin inwardly sighed. Besides the music, it was pretty, it was a nice party. Perhaps it would be more enjoyable if he wasn't continually being harassed by mares or being threatened with sharp knife wielding by an insane pony. It's all right, I guess," he said as Rainbow Dash slid down next to him. She eyed him playfully. "God, lighten up a little. You'll have more fun that way," she tugged his hoof. "Come, dance with me." Soarin flashed a "you've got to be kidding me" look at her. No. Come on, you fun sponge. No. Ugh. I can just feel you sucking all the fun out of the air, she complained. You're pretty good at feeling me, if I recall correctly. She punched him hard on the shoulder. Enough with the innuendo, she growled. It's enough when I say it's enough, Soarin said, rubbing his shoulder where she had hit him. Whatever. Now, come dance. I'm not nearly drunk enough to consider dancing. Rainbow procured 2 bottles of beer out of nowhere. Good enough? How did you do that? Not important. Soarin wrinkled his nose up. I'm not a fan of beer. Well, what's wrong with it? Well, frankly, I find most beers like making love in a canoe. Rainbow Dash cocked an eyebrow. Making love in a canoe? Yes. It's fucking close to water. Soarin replied, the corners of his mouth tilting upwards. Dash chuckled lightly. Funny. But do you know what? What? Soarin asked cautiously. I don't care. Now, come dance, she said, dragging Soarin roughly to his hooves. She pushed into the crowded dance floor and started dancing to the party track on. Soarin stood dumbly and looked at her. Come on, Philly, dance, she yelled above the music. I don't know how, Soarin mumbled. Bullshit, I've seen you dance. I don't remember how, Soarin corrected himself. Here, I'll show you. Dash yelled, taking his hooves in hers. She clumsily led him through a few moves, most of which Soarin thought were just a ridiculous mix of shaking, head-banging, or waving his legs around like an idiot. You sure this is dancing? He yelled. Pretty sure, Dash yelled back, her eyes beaming brightly. I feel like an idiot, Soarin yelled. You look like one too. Soarin laughed despite all odds. He was actually enjoying himself. His sudden change in demeanour did not go unnoticed by his prismatically coloured friend. Told ya. You just have to lighten up a bit. Who's lightening up? Pinkie Pie asked, suddenly appearing between them. She was bouncing up and down to the beat on her tail like it was a pogo stick. Soarin chose to ignore the physics-defying feat. Soarin told him he had to lighten up, Dash yelled. And look at him go! Pinkie giggled at Soarin's dancing before looking up for a moment, as if she was trying to remember something important. Oh yeah, there's a pony here to see you, Dashy. Looks like some pony who isn't much fun. He wouldn't even try my cupcakes. A tragedy, I'm sure, Soarin said sarcastically, remembering a sickeningly sweet cupcake he tried earlier. A terrible, awful, catastrophic tragedy, Pinkie said, oblivious to his sarcasm. Dash thanked Pinkie and pushed her way through the crowd towards the stranger. Any idea who he is? Soarin asked Pinkie, aware that he was living dangerously. Well, he had a badge that said weather service, so I don't know. Maybe he's with the dry cleaners, Pinkie remarked dryly, rolling her eyes. Soarin made a disgusted sound and left to follow Dash through the crowd. He'd rather fight a hydra with a feather duster than stay near Pinkie. It's not fair, he muttered to Dash as he caught up to her. What? Pinkie is totally immune to sarcasm, yet uses it herself, Soarin complained. She's like that, Dash retorted. Soarin harumphed loudly. Still doesn't make it fair. Soarin, stop bitching and shut up. The stallion they had been directed to looked like a typical pen pusher, slick mane, expensive accessories. He had it all. He even emanated an aura of self-superiority. This'll be fun, Dash muttered crossly. Wonder what he wants us to do now. I'm guess shoving a cloud up that massive arse of his isn't it, though. Soarin shook his head. Her absolute lack of diplomacy skills didn't surprise him. Rainbow Dash, I presume? The business pony asked snidely. She nodded. Do you mind if we take this outside? It's a bit... He wrinkled his nose disapprovingly. Loud in here. You can bring your lackey with you, he said, gesturing at Soarin. He gave the room one more condescending look before stepping outside. Lackey? Soarin growled. Does he even know who I am? He probably doesn't care. He's above you on the chain of command, and that's all he cares about, Rainbow said with a shrug. Now come on, lackey, she yelled, slapping Soarin's flank. Soarin glared at her, but she was already outside and didn't suffer the wrath of his baleful gaze. She's going to pay for that. Okay, what's up? I never get one of you. Soarin hoped she chose her next words carefully. Administrative people out here unless you need our help. So it must be something important. You want us to do... Dash crossed her hooves and gave the stallion a less than friendly look. I represent the manufacturing division of the Equestrian Weather Service, and you are correct in your assumption, Miss Dash. We do require your assistance. He purred. What happened now? A few little clouds go rogue or something? Dash sneered dismissively. No. Due to an unforeseen fault in the new experimental prototype, let's just say, we have a small problem. Nothing your little team couldn't handle, though, I'm assured. And why have you come to us? There's plenty of teams on Cloudsdale better suited for this task. The company has sunk a considerable amount of time and money into this prototype. If word of this little accident got out, it would cause a lot of bad publicity, something we don't particularly want to deal with. Your team is small enough and out of the way enough that we could use you without raising any suspicions in Cloudsdale. In addition, if one of you did blab, this little hamlet is small enough that no harm would come from it. Rainbow Dash glared at him as he smirked. What's in it for us? Soarin asked. You will be well reimbursed for your services, I assure you. Both Soarin and Dash perked up slightly. All right, what do we have to do? Rainbow Dash asked. Follow directions in this envelope and dispose of it after reading. He pulled a small brown envelope out of his briefcase and handed it to Rainbow Dash. Now, if we are done here, I must leave. I have more important business that doesn't concern rabble like you. Rainbow Dash growled, electing another smirk from the business pony. Good evening, he said snidely, tipping his hat off before taking off, making a beeline towards the capital. Wow, what an arsehole, Soarin said. Tell me about it, Rainbow muttered, tucking the envelope under her wing. Okay, what's going on? I totally had it with that mare back at the party, Thunderlane complained. The only thing you were going to get, Thunderlane, was a kick to the face, Rainbow growled. Oh, please, she was all over me, Thunderlane insisted. Thunderlane, shut up, Soarin barked. Who put you in charge? Thunderlane, shut the hell up, now, Dash ordered. Fine, he mumbled. Anyway, back at it. What's happening? You kind of got us together in a rush, Doc asked, trying to get the conversation re-railed. Dash ran a hoof through her mane before continuing. Shit's broken and they need us to fix it because we're awesome, or something. More or less, some idiot cranked the controls on the new prototype up to 11 without reading the manual, and now it's broken. And spewing clouds everywhere. Mr. Head up his arse so high it goes all the way through is apparently going to reward us for doing this discreetly. So don't blab to every pony about it, okay? If you need to know anything else, just have a look through this file, which never existed. She threw the now unsealed envelope on the ground. Those machines have manuals? Flitter asked, looking down at the brown envelope. Rainbow Dash ignored her. So, are you guys in, or will I have to force you to go? The others all nodded their head in approval. I'm down. We're in, Cloudchaser and Flitter said together. Let's have a go at it. They all turned to look at Soarin, who hadn't said anything. He flashed a small grin. I'm in. We're getting paid just to get rid of a few harmless clouds, right? How bad could it be? Are you sure we're going the right way? Doc yelled from the back of their loose formation. Sure, I'm sure, Rainbow Dash yelled back, pulling out the map supplied in the documents. Using the newly risen moon and stars for the guidance, she pointed their approximate location out. See? Right. Where we should be. She thrust the map in Doc's face. Well, you've done something wrong, because there's nothing here, Doc snapped. He lowered the map and gestured to open countryside. None of the Pegasi had seen any signs of civilization for the last few hours, and the desolate landscape bearing no signs of any form of facility that they expected the device to be in. And don't you think, if this was spewing clouds everywhere, we'd see them by now? Thunderlane piped up. Are you saying I can't navigate? I'm saying we're lost, Thunderlane said snidely. We're not lost. Being lost isn't about knowing where you are, it's about knowing where you aren't. And I don't give a shit where we aren't. I'm not sure if that's incredibly profound or not, Soarin muttered, his eyes scanning the sky for anything out of the ordinary. He shook his head, his vision slightly fuzzy. He frowned when the effect didn't pass. Hey, is it me, or does the horizon look kind of fuzzy? Soren asked. No pony heard him. They were too caught up in their petty argument between Doc and Rainbow Dash about the ability of mares to read maps and navigate. Soren let out an aspirated sigh and took a few flaps towards the strange haze. Whoa! He cried out in surprise as a swirling mass of grey cloud suddenly appeared in front of him. He instinctively backpedaled and the massive cloud vanished. You guys see that? He yelled out. See what? Flitter asked. Big, huge, grey cloud thingy. Sentences. Use them, Doc snapped. There was a big, huge cloud right there, Soren insisted, pointing his hoof at thin air. There's nothing there, mate, Thunderlane said in a tone that made it quite clear he thought Soren had finally gone mad. How could you not see it? It was right there, Soren insisted. How much did you have to drink at that party? Shut up, Thunderlane, Soren growled. It was right there, Soren stated, flying back to where he had seen the cloud. What he had not expected, though, was a sudden cry of surprise from the rest of the weather team. Soren! Where did he go? Soren spun back around. I'm right here, he yelled. Soren, where did you go? Rainbow Dash yelled back. I just flew a few metres forward, Soren yelled, the cloud rubbing against his tail menacingly. We can't see you. Well, come towards my voice then. Rainbow looked from side to side before ploughing headfirst towards where she had last heard Soren's voice. Predictably, she crashed headfirst into him, sending them both tumbling across the cloud-strewn sky. Celestia, damn it! Didn't mean literally come at me, Soren snapped as they ploughed into a cloud. Several large bolts of lightning erupted harmlessly into the sky from the unstable storm cell. Sorry, Dash muttered, trying to free herself from the tangle faux limbs they were in. Sheesh, you guys. Get a room. You're alone for less than a second and you're already over each other, Thunderlane teased as the others landed more gracefully on the angry-looking cloud next to them. Thunderlane, shut the hell up, Dash growled, untangling her hind legs from around Soren's neck. The look she was giving the grey Pegasus was positively murderous. Shutting up, Mum, Thunderlane responded meekly. Keep it that way, Dash muttered, leaping off Soren and shaking herself off. Okay, what now? Doc asked, poking at a cloud above him, experimentally causing a small spark of electricity to shock the curious Pegasus. This weather don't look too friendly, he mumbled, rubbing his hoof where he'd been zapped. No shit, Cloud Chaser grumbled, her mane standing on edge from the almost palpable electric charge. Soren resisted the urge to laugh as Flitter played with her puffy hair. I guess I should have kept my mouth shut when I said harmless clouds, Soren said. Yeah, you should have kept your fat mouth. Thunderlane's starter was cut off from the venomous look from Dash. Here's the plan. We split up and look for the machine, which is making this mess, and shut it off. I don't care how you have to pull it apart and eat the pieces, just shut it down. Mr. Arsehat said we have to get rid of it, so that's all we have to do. And from now on, these clouds have some pony else's problem filled around them, okay? He didn't say anything about the clouds, and I'm not sure about you guys, but I'm not game enough to buck one. She paused and looked around the mismatched group as they nodded in agreement. Thunderlane, go with Cloud Chaser and take the left flank. Doc, go with Flitter to the right. Soren, you're with me. We're going right up the middle. Cosy, Soren remarked. Kinky, more like it, Thunderlane snickered. Did I ask for your opinion, Thunderlane? No, zip it, Rainbow ordered. Now, if you lose sight of the clouds, fly back the way you came. As we saw, this place seems to have some sort of invisibility spell bubble thing around it, whatever it is. I'm sure Twilight would have a field day with it. The bubble seems to also be containing them, so let's try to keep it that way. She flared her wings dramatically. Any questions? The quiet rumble of distant thunder reached them. Good, let's go. So, what's the Grandmaster plan when we find this thing? And just tear it to pieces? Soren asked, flying through the dense clouds slowly, so not to strain his wings. The distant rumble of thunder had been constantly growing loud, as if were possible. It looked as if the clouds were getting darker by the minute. Even without experience in weather keeping, Soren could tell that they were in for a near literal shitstorm, more or less. Soarin cursed as a light spattering of rain started. Neither he or Dash had goggles. A bright bolt of lightning lashed out across the sky, leaving a bright after image burn into Soarin's retinas. This weather is getting worse by the second, and this is becoming way too dangerous to fly in, Soarin yelled out over the resulting thunder. As if I've flown in worse in my sleep, Rainbow Dash yelled cockily. As if on cue, another bolt of lightning struck out, missing her by a few metres. Despite the danger, Soarin found it oddly beautiful. Shit, you okay, Rainbow Dash? Anything I can do to help? Shut the hell up and let me fly. She pulled ahead of him slightly, giving his eyes another beautiful sight. Shit, get it together, Soarin. He mentally rebucked himself. But it's such a nice sight. Stop ogling at her arse and fly, you idiot. Soarin's eyes snapped to the fore as he ducked under a vicious-looking cloud that he hadn't been paying attention to. Hey, trooper, eyes front, Dash yelled out. Maybe instead of checking my flank out, you could keep an eye for that damn machine. It's got to be around here somewhere. Soarin flushed red with embarrassment as he averted his eyes. He blinked in surprise as Rainbow suddenly vanished from in front of him in a near vertical dive. Found something, she yelled out. Following her in a much more controlled dive, Soarin spotted a large drab-looking cloud factory surrounded by a web of almost jet-black clouds. Dash, wait up, Soarin yelled. I'm not the fastest Pegasus in Equestria for nothing, she yelled, remembering to pull out of her kamikaze dive. Yeah, I know, Soarin deadpanned, dropping next to her. Now what? You'd be mad trying to get through there. It's far too dangerous, Soarin said, scanning for a safe path through the ring of clouds in an almost defensive position around the experimental factory. Forks of lightning danced from the cloud to cloud, making finding a clear path through the unpredictable cell difficult. The constant rumble of thunder pounded on Soarin's ears. Danger is my middle name, she stated proudly, a cocky smirk appearing on her face. Oh, you're not going. Soarin started but was cut off mid-sentence as Dash whizzed past him towards the factory. Yep, she is, he muttered as she powered towards the volatile web of clouds. No way, Soarin stuttered as she weaved between the clouds with apparent ease. She's going to do it, he breathed as she neared the end of the gauntlet. He should have learnt by that point to keep his damn mouth shut. A large bolt of pure white erupted out of a cloud and lanced through the sky towards the sea and blue Pegasus. Soarin let out a strangled warning, but it was drowned out by a deafening crack of thunder. Soarin watched in horror as Rainbow tumbled out of the sky, thankfully into the somewhat stable weather factory. A comically loud crash of falling shells came from the factory as she ploughed through a wall. Dash! Soarin yelled, flying as close to the clouds as he dared. Are you okay? No response. Come on, come on, come on, he thought, flapping back and forth helplessly, watching for some movement. Rainbow! He yelled out again. Chuck Tester. Soarin eyed the clouds nervously. He had no urge to fly in there himself and help her. No way was he going to get his own arse singed to save hers, regardless of how good looking it was. Oh, hell, Soarin thought as he scanned through the storm-racked skies for any signs of other Pegasi. Again, no dice. Dash, if you can hear me, stay put. I'm coming in, Soarin yelled cautiously, realising in hindsight how bad that sounded. Steeling himself, Soarin lunged towards the largest gap in the clouds he could see. The odd tingle of electricity charged building in his extremities, ducking under a monster of a cloud blocking his path. Soarin felt his wings straining to keep him aloft as he pulled up on the other side. Oh, not now, he growled as he rolled through a small gap, the tips of his wings brushing gently against the edge of the cloud. Ah! He cried out as a sudden jolt of energy leapt over his wings. Panting heavily, he dove under another cloud, his wings aching painfully. come on, he grunted as he whipped between a gap in the cloud cover, careful not to let his wings touch the cloud again. He flared his wings suddenly to avoid a spear of lightning thrown at him by the angry storm. Almost there, he told himself, as one of his wings started cramping from the extreme manoeuvres. He dove over the last cloud in his way before touching down roughly on the factory floor. Taking a moment to let his throbbing wings recuperate, Soarin spied the hole Rainbow Dash's unsubtle entry had made. "Hey, Rainbow Dash, you alright?" he asked, trotted over to the hole. "What do you think, twat?" a gruff voice quietly answered from underneath a stack of destroyed shells. Soarin grinned widely, tried to ignore the throbbing pain across his wings. "Nice to see you're alive. Thanks for coming to save me, Soarin," he said in the poor imitation of her voice. "I see you're feeling particularly bitchy right now," Soarin said, dropping his back to his own voice with a hint of bemusement as he probed around in the rubble trying to find her. "Soarin," she warned. "You seem upset. Have I rustled your wings?" Soarin asked cheekily as he groped around blindly. "Don't make me," Dash growled. "Well, at least you appear to be a good wrecking ball. You haven't been putting on weight, have you?" "Soarin, get me out of here!" Soarin snickered lightly as his hoof struck something organic. "That you?" he asked. "Yes. Now get your hoof off my arse and get me out of this mess. I'm not in the mood for this right now," Dash barked. Soarin withdrew his hoof immediately and bounced on the pile, digging it away efficiently with his hooves. "Hey, Dashy," he teased when her amused face appeared. "Fuck you." "I'd say something, but I think Thunderlane already took my line," Soarin replied wearily. Unable to resist poking a little more fun at the trapped mare. "I'm going to murder you, slowly and painfully," Rainbow Dash growled, struggling to free the rest of her body. "How is that any way to treat your rescuer? I risked my flank to save yours. Well, maybe if you had been paying more attention, rather than gazing at mine, I wouldn't be in this mess." "Unlikely," Soarin said curtly, shifting the last of the debris away. "You made quite a mess." "What's worse than Soarin dead in a bucket?" Dash asked, pulling herself up shakily. "What?" "Soarin dead in 10 buckets. See where I'm going here?" Soarin grinned meekly, and Rainbow smirked. "Better. Now, let's get this machine off." Soarin stifled a laugh. "What? Is there something on my face?" she asked, going cross-eyed. "Have a look at yourself." "What?" she asked, looking down at her legs. Her normally light blue coat was now a charcoal black. The patchy blue and black effect was a stark contrast to her usual impeccable clean coat. "Now you look worse than a bad OC," Soarin grinned. "Soarin?" "Yeah?" Dash punched him square in the jaw, knocking him down to the floor. "Right. Got it." Following Rainbow out of the room, the pair found themselves in a large open factory space. In the centre of the room, a large complicated-looking device towered over them. A large hole in the roof was positioned above the machine, allowing a constant stream of produced clouds to leave the factory. "Jesus, would you look at the size of that thing?" Soarin said in awe. "Yeah, I've seen bigger," Dash said, throwing him a "if you know what I mean" look, which caused Soarin to flush red. Embarrassed Soarin. "Nothing personal," she said with a sinister. "Drop it, Dash." "Whatever," she muttered, limping towards the machine. "Over there. Looks like a good place to start," she said, pointing at a set of controls which were attached by a series of thick cables to the roaring machine. Dash? You okay?" Soarin asked as she tripped over herself. "Fine. Never better," she lied. No you're not," Soarin said, catching her as she toppled forward. "I can stand," she breathed, pushing Soarin away before falling to the ground again. "You're a stubborn mule, you know that?" Soarin asked, picking her up and draping her across his back. "Put me down!" Dash complained. Soarin guessed from the look on her face and her struggles she felt completely undignified. No. "Please, this is embarrassing," she whined. "There is no pony else to see you, Rainbow, so stop whining." "Fine," she grumbled reluctantly, settling her head back down onto his back. You, control panel, now! Hiya! Soarin chuckled again and moved over to the control panel. Surprisingly, it was still on. You'd think they'd just, turn it off, Soarin muttered as he looked around at the dizzying number of switches and dials. Most were turned up beyond 11. There was even a particularly important looking one which read over 1,000 and was steadily rising. You're the expert. What the hell does this stuff mean? Soarin asked his passenger. Those ones over there are the input controls. That one should be the release valve, and those three over there control the temperature. Well, they should at least. That number is the number of clouds produced, and those dials show the saturation settings. How does any of this help? I don't know. Just bash random buttons and see what happens. Alrighty then. Soarin shot back. He peered closely at the board, reading a few letters under each button. One large red one, labelled MSTRSTP, appealed particularly to him. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, he said, jabbing down the button. The loud roar of the machine slowly died down to a low whir, and the steam of clouds suddenly vanished. A loud ominous groaning and a few muffled bangs were heard, making Soarin look around cautiously. What did you do? Dash yelled, craning her neck to look at the board. Shut it off, I think, Soarin breathed as the noises in the machine died down. A few dials on the control panel kept jerking sporadically, but most dropped to 0. Well, that was anticlimactic, Dash summarised, as a pair of needles peaked in their red zones. Yeah, a bit, Soarin said slightly, disappointedly, as he craned his neck around, almost hoping for something to happen. Then the machine exploded.